In this video, I will show you how to set up SSH Public Key Authentication from a Mac to a Raspberry Pi. We'll go from finding the Raspberry Pi's IP address to logging in with a password to setting up secure key space login and finally connecting using a hostname instead of an IP address. What we'll cover in this video: we'll enable SSH, find Raspberry Pi's IP address, generate an SSH key on Mac, copy SSH key to Raspberry Pi, disable password login, and finally use hostname instead of IP. You would want to start up with terminal loaded on Raspberry Pi. In terminal, type hostname I. This will print an output. You will highlight the output, which is the IP for the Raspberry Pi. Remember this IP as you'll use it to set up the SSH later. Now we are on the Mac terminal. After you got the hostname, we're going to use it. Type SSH and then your username and then add your IP you just got. It will promptly ask for the password. Type your password. And it will log in into the Raspberry Pi. You want to type the following commands on your Mac, not on the Raspberry Pi, so just type exit. This will log you out. Now you want to generate a key, so type SSH keygen T and then ed to 5519. Type the file to save in. Now just press return. And then here it'll generate a picture, which you then want to copy to the Raspberry Pi. Here we are going to copy the key we just got to the Raspberry Pi. Type SSH, copy, ID, and your username, and then add your IP. This will copy the image. Now type your password, and now it will say number of keys added 1. If you see number of keys added 1, you're on the correct step. To test if the keys worked, we're going to type SSH and then your username and then add your IP. And if it prints out the Raspberry Pi, you worked. Now we want to disable password login for extra security. Type sudo nano and then the file sshd config and then type your password. This will open the config file. So in here, type Ctrl W, search for password authentication. It'll find password authentication and make sure it's disabled. So now it's currently commented, so it's disabled. Or you can just enable it and then in here, just change it to no. Make sure to save it. Press Ctrl O, enter, and then Ctrl X. This will save it. Now we want to restart the SSH to make it fully apply. Type sudo system control restart SSH. This will restart the SSH and now you have extra security. But there's a warning. You have to make sure the other steps before this step work, or else you might lock yourself in forever because your password login is disabled. Now I just loaded a new tab because the other tab was overcrammed. So now we are going to make a shortcut, which if we type pi or like something simple, it's going to also log into the Raspberry Pi. The last one we wrote was a bit complicated because we have to type the username and the IP. So now to start this simple setup, we're going to type nano, open the file, and then .ssh, and then /config. This is going to open the file where if we type a host, it will basically type the host name and the username, and the identity file is the key, which makes sure we don't type the password. So here, if you don't have this, just type something similar to this with your host. This is what you want to type to log into Raspberry Pi. Host name, you can type your IP. And then for user, just type your username and then make sure the identity file is here. So username, make sure this is the Raspberry Pi's username, not your Mac's username. So keep that in mind. So after we have typed that, we're going to Control O and then press Enter to save it and Control X. Now if we test SSH and then something simple we want to type like PI, this will log in into your Raspberry Pi. Now you know how to set up SSH key authentication from a Mac to a Raspberry Pi, disable password, and even connect using a name instead of an IP. This makes your setup more secure and easy to use. If this helps, consider subscribing for more tech tutorials.